Nice to see you two fellas there in Bristol.
Well, you were invited, but you are conspicuous by your absence. We could have all been in one room and it could have saved on the electricity.
Exactly.
You remember very well, Pontus, just a few months ago we had Michael on as a guest, and we were talking about the wonderful series of paintings that he's done to Angelina Jordan's original songs. I was in touch with Michael, and he was saying that he would like to donate all of these original works of art to the Warm Blanket.
Yeah,
And
that's nice.
we spoke about that some more, and we came to the decision that because they're fragile and that they're special, that he could and should hand deliver them to me in Bristol, England. And he has never been to Europe before. So I was happy with that arrangement, and he was happy with that arrangement. And here is the living proof.
Yeah, I'm really here.
Yeah, it's not some kind of
I'm
fake.
not a hologram, no.
No,
We're not photoshopping him next to me.
nowadays you can do that like CGI, but
No,
I believe you.
He's real as they come. So I've been hosting him for the best part of a week, and I have felt the responsibilities of an English host to give him a proper feel of English life.
Yeah.
And I think before we start looking at the paintings, I think we have a cameo of the past week with a minute or two summary so that people can get a feel of what Michael has been through these past few days.
Oh, yeah, what I've been through.
The hardship.
Michael will now talk through the sequence.
This is me coming off the bus, and obviously I look like I thought I was arriving in Honolulu from that shirt. I look like I'm grinning, but I'm grinning because I was so happy that we finally got there. Man, I was happy.
And you're looking really excited.
Yeah.
Well, he has tried to invite me and my wife as well. And my wife said, of all your angel friends, I'd rather go to Chris in Hawaii than Alan. And then, Alan, what did you say
I
to
said
that?
to you that Bristol is the Hawaii of England.
So I think that's pretty appropriate, actually. And Alan, why are we looking at a still shot? Why aren't you recording on your phone?
Because I pressed the wrong button. Because I have little imperfections in my technical skills.
Oh, really? I haven't noticed.
Your sense of diplomacy is off the charts, Pontus.
And over here we see we're picking nettles. Now, I had no idea what a nettle was, but when we ended up taking it back to the house and cooking it, to me it tastes like collard greens. And I don't know if anybody knows what that is from the other side. you probably, a lot of people don't know, but most Americans will know what a collard green is. But the nettles taste very much like that, and I was really surprised. And then the next scene, we have a nice little pony here who is expected to be fed mince, because the moment we walked over near the fence, he came up to us. So
He recognized me from previous times I've been there feeding him. I must say, the nettles taste like very strong spinach.
the next scene is we went to a international food bazaar, and it was pretty interesting. Right there, I'm getting my fill of curry.
The English cuisine.
After that, we come up to Bath Circle, and that was amazing. I've never seen anything like that in my life. You got to understand, I come from a world where anything past 500 years is a wild forest, and that's it.
Yeah.
But to see something that old and structured and beautiful out of that yellow rock.
It's just very handsome. Bath is extremely historic. Bath has a Roman spa. So Bath has been a town for 2,000 years, and it's only 10 miles down the road.
The next thing we had was the Abbey.
Michael? We were on the outside of the Abbey, and we heard the music.
It's a church. We're facing the Abbey here, and as you can hear, music. It's a local musician, and it kind of added a little atmosphere to the whole day. Basically, the Abbey and all the structures in that area, it was almost like stepping into a fairy tale book. The old buildings, The churches, the cathedrals, the abbey, everything in that area had such a feel of almost like a Tolkien book.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We were showing the passage when we walked through there, these little yellow chimney points, and I just thought those were really exciting. After that, we headed off to the pub. And
You got to do that, right?
yeah, so I went in and I figured good eats, good atmosphere. I get to see a little bit of British afternoon, what people do at a pub. And for me, it was good because I don't drink anymore, so I just had a cup of coffee. But I had a fish pie, which I'd never had before.
Cincinnati is 1,000 miles from the coast, so they probably don't have quite the same supply of fish that we do in England.
So we moved on to Castle Coombe.
The English weather, so nice.
Quite. Show this one to your wife.
This is lovely.
Yeah.
Very.
And the thing that really fascinated me was the way the ivy grew up on the side of the building. Not that I haven't seen ivy, but again, it paints a picture that I'm not used to. I'm expecting a gnome to come out from somewhere or fairies attack, but it had such a fanciful appearance to me. I mean, beautiful, beautiful, breathtaking. It was like something out of a storybook. So, oh, the three-stone circle. Oh, yeah. This was a real shock. So we're riding up this little hill in this little village, and it's kind of rural farm area. And we come up to this pasture, and we're about to walk up. I said, yeah, okay, fine. So I said, this will be neat. You know, a nice little I look out there, and it's like baby Stonehenge. It's all these monolithic stones from 5,000 years ago set up in a circle pattern in the field. And then, what the heck? This is crazy. This is like some bodunk back city town, and all of a sudden in the backyard of people's homes, there's a prehistoric stone set up all over the place. So, yeah, I was blown away. Yeah, it took a few minutes to realize what we were looking at. And as soon as I did, I walked down in there to get a closer look, and it'll come back later. I actually had drawn one of those stones without realizing it. The resemblance was uncanny. Here I am, I'm opening the box at Alan's house, and that box has a story in itself of getting it here. I didn't think it was going to pass customs or pass the luggage requirements. And I was paranoid all the time that it might get damaged. But as soon as it got here, we opened it up, everything was fine. There was 16 pieces, every one of Angelina's originals.
It almost resembles a treasure chest.
Or Pandora's box, depending on your taste.
Who's this fella?
He's the framer.
What did he say?
He said, nice pictures.
Okay.
And that's what we say as well.
That's an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, quite.
Not too long after that, we went over to the picture framers, and this guy was cool. He really was. His name's Charlie. He's like a 50-year-old throwback to rock and roll days. He looks like somebody that would talk about having seen the Stones and have a story behind it. So basically, we were framing 4 pieces. We had What is Life, Our Time, and Shield, and I'm Still Holding Out for You. And each one of those is very different.
So let's go back to the video and we can talk about each painting. So, Michael, welcome to England. Nice to have you here.
It's definitely different than anything I've ever experienced.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Now, we had a wonderful couple of podcasts with you a few months back, and you showed us 12 original works of art that you did based on her songs. And since then, you have still been productive, and we're starting now looking at 4, which we have never seen before, which you have additionally painted to her original songs.
Right. The whole idea was to finish inclusively everything that she's ever done originally.
And we have in front of us your painting of Song for A.
Right.
Now, Bobby Burns, he was a Scottish poet in the 1830s, and he actually wrote the lyrics to this song.
Right. And I can give you a little background. I'm sure a lot of the angels already understand a lot of this, but it's kind of a reminder. The album that he put together was called Melting. It basically was a reflection on human agony, suffering. It was actually a very good piece. but it was based on a frozen type of hell. And in the process when he was putting this together, what was important to him was to have a redemptive point in his album. And that redemptive point, he wanted Angelina Jordan to recite basically in song Robert Burns' poem, and that's where we ended up coming up with Song for A. But when you look at the piece, it was important to me to put it in the frozen hell that Cordosio wanted to put together in the first place. And the most simple explanation of it is that you have Angelina, Robert Burns, and his poetry as the only melting spot in this frozen wasteland. So that's why I created it as an ice cave. And basically everything in here has a warmth, and it also refers back to the fields of barley.
The time flew by with careless heat, till between the dark and dawn, with small persuasion she agreed to see me through the barley.
And this one, I took the liberty to put her in 1830 attire so that it all blends together with Robert Burns in the time period that the poem was written. Also, I wanted to do it at the time that she sang it, which she was about 12 years old. But it's also the most beautiful, fragile part of her life, in my opinion. And I love doing her face in this one because she was her most sweet and at a pinnacle of a type of child beauty. And there's also kind of a Persian feel to it, too, which brings out her Persian ethnicity in a much stronger way. So you sort of have a cultural mix and a period mix at the same time.
She looks wonderfully innocent. You've captured the innocence in her face so well.
To me, she was a devastatingly beautiful child at that age.
I'm thinking, I'm really glad that you brought up the background story about the composer there. Nick Cartosio. I think we should send this portion of the video to him. And maybe he could be on the podcast here. And maybe we could donate that image to him. Because that was a beautiful thing he did to include Angelina.
Yeah, actually, that would be interesting to see his input on it. Because him selecting her, wanting her as that proven redemptive point in the song, that was pretty critical.
And I really love the way you have put that Persian twist on it.
I'm looking at her at that age, and she reeks of a Persian beauty, sweet beauty. It was almost an excuse for me to do that.
And also put that attire on her.
Yeah, that took a little research.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's definitely 1830, so that was Robert Burns' period too.
And then the warmth of it and the coldness of it, the contrast there.
That's why he had her do that. It was for that warm spot in that frozen hell that he produced. And it's really moving, the work he did. I was really surprised he didn't get more attention for it.
I think it would be a nice effort if we could reach out to.
Well, I've already promised the picture framer that I will be sending him a copy of this video. So I need to make a long list of all the people we have to send the video to afterwards. Next, we're going to Shield, and this is emblematic to me. I could probably guess that this was Shield. The format of it, it makes it look so protective. Talk us through this.
I'll point out the points of interest, and then it'll all make sense. The pink urn, where the fire is coming out on the left side, is representative of her mother, Sarah. The small orange one at the bottom, that's representative of Juliet, and the blue one is representative of Mary. You also will see two floating urns that don't have fire. Those are her grandfathers. So there's still a protective element to them, even though they've passed away, that is still in Angelina's life. The top one is Michael, because basically he is and has been the cement of the family, because he's the real father figure in her life. And so Michael was presented as the larger urn area where the fire is coming out. And of course the ring of fire goes back to the lyrics too. You are my fire.
You are my fire when I can see.
And the way I also did Angelina is I did her at 12 years old, looking down at herself at 8 years old. And 10-year-old Angelina, you'll probably recognize this was taken from the Bang Bang performance, but I closed her eyes here and I redrew the expression on her face to make it look as if she was praying. Yeah. So there's a prayer aspect of this too, where she looks down at herself, she's praying, she's protected by her family, and outside you'll see the wings, which to me represented divine intervention or God's protection over her. And basically that is the complete protection around the whole piece. The point is that from my perspective, God placed her in a family where she would be safe. Yeah. So that's why you see a double protection here. Now on the outside, which is shadows, they whisper and stare at my soul.
Shadows, they whisper, stare at my soul.
There's also a force of darkness that is coming in against her. And that's what the outer perimeter is. And it's, when you look at it, if you look at it up close in life, as Alan's seeing it as an actual piece now, these are actually demonic references of spirits looking in at her. Shadows, they whisper and stare at my soul. So that's the reference to that. So this is completion, this is shield.
It's not enough to say that this is rich in symbolism. The whole thing is symbolic. Every single image is symbolic of something else. And the one symbol you haven't mentioned is the sword on Michael. So he's the one guarding the fortress, fending off any outside influences.
Yes, absolutely. And just as reference, that's an actual Persian sword. Too.
Yeah.
It's not just a scimitar, it's a Persian scimitar that I drew it.
Like any good artist, you do your research first.
Yes.
And the other thing which strikes me in this painting of Shield, Michael, are the demon's eyes. You pointed that out. I certainly never saw it before. And even now I have to concentrate to see the demon's eyes. And it really brings to light the line, shadows they whisper, stare at my soul.
Yeah, well, Shadows They Whisper to me was really the substructure of the whole song. Of course, the song is about protection, about her safety, and where she goes for that safety. But you also have to acknowledge what she's being protected from. And for me, it is demonic encroachment, and I painted it in the form of darkness, but I put identity to the demons that are actually looking at her. If you look at the eyes, you'll see that they're congruent in such a way that they actually will form a face and a facial direction so that they're actually looking at her.
And to me, the little dots almost look like larvae of some type of
Right.
infestation, of some type of contamination pest.
That's it. Contamination is the key word. That darkness is a form of contamination.
Yeah.
Everything that they bring with them.
But this is something I never ever would have seen if not seeing the painting live.
Yeah, when you zoom in on that darkness place, it looks really, really amazing. I don't know how you put that together, but I can really get a sense of that infestation and contamination.
That's what evil is. It's the effect of contamination on what was already pure or clean in people. I showed that to one of my sons who isn't easily moved. And I said, look at the area through here. Actually, I was drawing demons looking in, and he looked at it and went, damn, Daddy, what the hell?
I don't know where you got that inspiration from, but it looks really...
Well, I wanted it to delegate a realism without it being a horror movie.
I think it's balanced
Nightmare
perfectly.
on Elm Street, you know. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks to me like it's balanced perfectly, but as you said, it's almost that I want to see that in real life.
Maybe you get a chance to, eh?
Yeah.
That Hawaii visit.
When you come to Bristol, Pontus, I'll be sure to put it in your guest room.
I'm not sure I want it in my guest room. I'm having bad dreams.
No, you'll have the shield.
Yeah, I know.
You'll be fine. You'll be just fine. You'll be seeing light and fire, and you won't be seeing demons.
But even looking at the painting directly, Michael still had to point out to me what that was. If he hadn't pointed it out, I would not have specifically understood what it represented.
In art, there's this freedom that you have as a viewer to make your own choices of what it is, but you get a sense of something. It's subconscious almost.
And I think if you spend enough time with it, everything that's could be triggered to reveal itself will. But if you just kind of rush through and, oh, that's nice, and run on, you miss the whole point.
I've been growing up with my father doing abstract art, and these type of paintings that you've done here, they're reeking of symbolism in a way that I've never seen art before. And that to me is really refreshing, because the pieces that I've been growing up with, my dad, he invited me into his world and told me a little bit about the process behind it and his thoughts about it. And my father, anyway, it was almost random. He had a vision and came together in the random pieces of what he was doing. And then he felt happy about it, that he could see something and he could clarify it. But it's not like he went out with some goal in mind. This is what I want the audience to discover or feel. And then it's left up to the audience to make up their mind. If it's just, that's a nice blue painting, I will put it over my sofa. It will go great with my sofa. That's fine. But for some people, there's another feeling that comes from art, and that's the magic of art.
Yeah, maybe we should call this episode Art Explains.
Yeah, exactly.
And next we have I'm Still Holding Out for You.
Like Song for A, Angelina didn't write it, but it was clearly written for her. And I think everybody understands most of the history behind I'm Holding Out for You. And I think it's pretty well accepted that this is her song, that nobody else would ever be attached to it in history except her. Yeah. So as far as I'm concerned, this is one of hers. Every one of these images of her are very different from the others. And part of this is also her evolution in her music career, in her stage performances, all of her imagery, photographs. She has taken on a lot of personas. You can look at every one of these and you can see it being very accurately Angelina, but every one of these could be a different person. And I think that's kind of remarkable with her too. She does the same thing with her music. She does with her own imagery, that she presents herself, it's signature her, but it's also like different women. I'll even refer to somebody else's song. I'm Every Woman always comes to mind when I think about it, Whitney Houston. And that's one of the few videos that I really like of Whitney Houston's. And I was seeing that in these terms as well as I'm Every Woman with Angelina. Now, from the far right is I've Been Hanging in Your Shadow for So Long.
I've been hanging on your shadow for so long.
And basically, I even borrowed part of the ribbon from Steely Dan's album Asia, just to let everybody know I'm not being a plagiarist here, that I'm admitting to it. I'm doing Picasso, good artists borrow, great artists steal, so I stole that image. That's her and her dark phase of the song. Basically, it's not even in a depression point, but more of a solemn, lost place with she didn't know where she is with this person. The second one is I go through 1,000 faces on my phone.
Looking through 1,000 faces on my phone.
And basically, I wanted the phone to be suspended. At first, I had her holding it. Then I decided that it was better for it to be suspended so that the phone is not the connected image to her. That the more important part of the imagery is the fact that she's lost in faces and that she's not finding anything that she needs in a solid form. So there's nothing solid in the way that the phone is suspended. It's almost like it's floating in the air. The center point is the refrain, I'm still holding out for you.
I'm holding out for you. I'm holding out for you.
And everything comes back to the refrain twice in the first part of the song. So when you see the movement and the lyrics moving from right to left, you go back to her, then you go forward to this point and to go back again. The fourth image is I've been thinking about you crazy all the time.
I've been thinking about you crazy all the time.
And it put her in a state where she doesn't look crazy, but she looks dumbfounded and lost. It's kind of a lost point, because through the song, it's almost like she's lost, and then she finds herself on solid ground at the end, which happens to be the water, which is really odd. So this is the bridge at the end, whereas I go down to the river, put myself underwater. And I always saw this almost as a baptism redemption point, where it says, God, deliver me from your lies. So I didn't see it as a lot of people saw it in a darker way. I never saw it that way at the end of the bridge. I always saw it as a redemptive moment. Yeah. And that's where we really are. This is all led up to the last point of redemption.
Yeah, it's like a baptism being dipped in the water.
Absolutely. It's a baptism, yeah. There was no other way I could see it. In fact, I drew it as a baptism, almost like somebody at a church meeting. And that's both her as well. This her, and that's also her coming up out of the water, too.
Yeah, good image, good image.
And I also used this circular reference always in connection with the moon and so much of her work. And I decided that this was a point where we need to have the sun involved for a change.
Good,
so.
good. It's quite incredible, the middle image, the refrain, because that one matches, you can take my breath away, but my heart will still be beaten. And what Michael captured in the middle of the five is her heart is actually visible where her breath would be. Mm-hmm. So that symbolism is, again, reinforced pictorially, but you almost need someone to point that out.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, if any other image would be overkill. We try to keep it simple. Keeping it simple also allows the person looking at it to come back to the song easily.
The one thing I have found, it's a beautiful, beautiful piece you've done here. To a remarkable song, of course, so it matches the song there. But what you were saying here, I thought was really brilliant, was something I've had in my head myself, but never been able to put words to it, and that's I'm every woman. I thought that was brilliant, because that is something that I've also sensed, that she is so different, and we have thousands and thousands of pictures of her, and she can play so many parts, and that is so brilliant of you to pick up on that.
What I thought was brilliant was Michael's understanding that the song was a song about redemption. That never occurred to me. Michael focuses so deeply on the lyrics and their impact and their meaning, so it's almost like he's able to explain the song to me.
That's interesting to have this look into how you're thinking.
And the other thing which I just absolutely found remarkable is, even though we give a few 5-second examples of Angelina singing, every single example we give is just so powerful.
Yeah.
Every example she gives, you can just make you do a double take even after 5 seconds.
It's almost like every word has thought behind it and meaning behind it.
And we have one more.
Yes, one more. And the last one, Bad Valentine. Now this one, we'll step through the lyrics, but mostly we'll step through the intent of the lyric. Clearly she's portraying a character in this song. Obviously, this is not the character of Angelina, but she definitely portrays it as well as any good actress. She deserves an Oscar on this one. This is her as a indifferent, self-serving female who really has absolutely crushed the person underneath her without any regard whatsoever. Now, when you come in here and start playing the blame game in the song, it gets lost because everybody's at fault in it. She has warned him time and time again, I'm going to destroy you.
I thought I told you I will mess up your life.
good for you, he isn't hearing it. So he ends up in a chalk outline, basically devastated, and he's still reaching up, trying to hold on to the relationship by holding on to the table. Angelina, in character, is basically thrown away the locket that he's given her, the Valentine locket. She's turned away from the situation and is moving forward and away without any hesitation. Now the red, even though it looks kind of gory in a sense, it really is kind of a bloodletting. I had one person say it reminded them of a vampire situation, and I can sort of run with that too. It's the bloodletting is basically the broken heart and absolutely total disregard for the other person. But again, warned over and over again, just as the flower here decided to let them die. And I also painted the heart as a reminder where it actually has a bad odor coming from it.
Yeah, it's a bad Valentine.
A bad Valentine for real.
Yeah.
An actual bad Valentine. And again, the saddest part and the weaker part of this is the guy is still holding on. Even his chalk outline is still thinking there's hope in this relationship when there isn't any.
So maybe you could have merged Bad Valentine with I'm Still Holding Out for You.
Oh, well, there is kind of a connective force there.
Yeah.
I'm still holding out for you. We are with her on this.
Yeah.
With this one, we're like, damn, girl, you really did this?
Yeah.
You didn't really do this. All
I
right.
love the artistic creativity of how, with pastel, you were able to make the heart look like it had a bad aroma. To me, that is just so creative to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's a stinky heart, that's for sure. The background up here is warm, where down here the background is cold.
Wow.
And the cold means he's frozen in time. He's not moving. In other words, he doesn't move on from the situation. The warmth shows that she's moving on, has moved on and is moving on and not looking back.
Moving on to her next victim.
The next victim, I suppose. I don't totally place her as the...
Femme fatale.
Yeah, in this one, yeah. I think, there's some reasons. I mean, she's always warned them, so what can I say?
Forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. That was great.
That's a fun one. And I really appreciate you saying she deserves an Oscar on this one.
Nobody wants to play with her. She's playing a role.
Maybe in the future there will be parts for her, maybe on Broadway.
I really, really like the image of the stinky heart. That's so original. We have the heart can be sweet. You can have sweetheart. You can have a sour heart. You can have a broken heart. But I've never heard of a stinky heart before. But it's so easy to understand.
Oh, just a little note. Venice Magic is the one who said it reminded her of a vampire.
So those four are new. We haven't seen those. And now the next four we see will be ones where there is more to say having seen them in person. And to start moving on and to start talking about paintings that we have already discussed,
Okay.
it's almost like if you hear Angelina Jordan on YouTube and then you hear her live in concert, it's just a different exponential experience. It's a totally different dimension. And looking at this painting in front of me now, What is Life? When we looked at it previously, I was enchanted by Juliet's eyes, but now enchantment is not a strong enough word. Her eyes are breathing and living and expressive, and I'm going to have this picture framed. I'm going to have it hanging on my wall, and it's almost like we're going to have another member of the family living with us.
That's a good way to put it. The importance of her eyes, at least for me, I actually got lost in it. I found myself drawing and redrawing her face over and over and over again. It would look fine, but it wasn't her. And I had to find a way to show her in the strongest way possible of who she was, especially as an adult, because that's where I had to leap out of my safety zone, was to present her in an adult form. Her eyes have always been beautiful, even as a child, but as an adult, there's a realm of maturity that I wanted to place in there that would have been missed today. And it's pivotal to the picture, because it's all about her memory of what is life.
I look at this painting, I immediately am drawn to the eyes, and I very reluctantly look at everything else. Because to me, the eyes are like quicksand.
Yeah. Even as the artist, I'm hooked into the eyes too.
Yeah.
But once I'm safely there, then I can travel everywhere else into the picture.
I cannot imagine how Angelina Jordan produces the emotion she does when she sings. I cannot imagine how an artist can do a painting, especially of the eyes, and capture that level of emotion.
I'll do my best.
And your best is good enough.
I do my best.
Good.
So
Now, even now, looking at it on the screen,
Yeah.
I can see the eyes. That will take me months and years to get over accustomed to that painting once it's hanging on the wall.
That's remarkable. The kind of details and the emotion that filling those eyes.
Yeah, it's almost like a portal into another world, into someone else's soul, to stop and look in the eyes of someone just in a painting as you're walking past.
And you were hinting that you had some, not issues, but you were doing it over and over again.
You can technically put a face together. I've seen artists who are photographically accurate to the T of a person's physical image, but they miss the person. They miss the target completely. If it isn't them, you failed. It doesn't matter if it's abstracted, impressionistic, whatever it is. When you do a portrait, if you don't finally get to that point where you say, yeah, that's them. That is definitely them. I feel safe. I'm really there. And it took a while to get safe and really there with Juliet's eyes, because I was dealing with Juliet, and Juliet, what I would suppose Juliet to be as a grown woman. So that was kind of a leap. It was easy to do. What enabled me was her eyes are just so damn gorgeous. So I took that with me to her adulthood.
And it's interesting you say that you feel safe when you got it, when you're certain this is like...
That is the person.
Because I get the same kind of sense of comfort and feeling safe from Angelina's singing, because she got it. I can just relax and just go with the flow, because there's nothing that needs changing or feels off.
You're on the trip and you finally got home.
And I think that's not easy to say that about a lot of things in life. The life we're living today, it's not safe. It's not comforting.
No, it's not.
But we all long for that feeling. And that's one of the attractions for me with Angelina's artistry. That it brings back that feeling that I had when everything was uncomplicated, when I was a child, when I had my mother with me.
Uncontaminated.
In Being John Malkovich, that movie, they have tourists who go into the brain of someone else, but actually what people really want, it would be a great vacation, is if you could go back to the womb.
Yeah.
That would be even better.
Maybe I can draw something up.
So
Now, the next painting we're going to look at
it's me and
Miles, and there's one feature here which you really cannot see if it's not directly in front of you, and that is the surface of the moon. Because to me, the surface of the moon is like almost a combination of nougat sweet candy, and it almost looks like a type of spumoni. The little flecks of color all around the surface of the moon. It's almost like the color of Angelina's hair is exploding and fragmenting across the whole surface of the moon.
that was my intent. The texture on the moon was important too. The reason I wanted to build the texture up to where it looked as if you could almost touch it and feel the surface. The point of that was to bring the moon in a more personal way, because it's dynamic as it is, because it's encompassing her, it has her image on it, and of course the moon, even by nature, is something that's pitched far away from everybody, but in this situation it's more physically attached to her by being texturized.
Also, it's the little colors on the moon, because one only associates the moon as being gray, if anything. One never thinks of the moon as having a color, but here it speckles. It has little specks of color, purple and red.
They're all
and
the
orange.
fragments of her face, essentially. She's woven in, her image is in the moon, Of course, there was a separate image that's more realistic of her where she's singing, but also the colors are her fragmented back in, almost like it's woven back in again.
It's such a powerful effect.
Million Miles, that's one of my favorite painting of yours. I'm not sure what it is about the moon that fascinates people. From the dawn of time, we have been looking up at the moon, and there is some power in that. And it also affects the surface of the earth. So there is some kind of very ancient magic with the moon. And I think that's brilliant that they are using that image over and over again.
And
I think the basic appeal of the moon is that it reminds us that there's something much greater out there. And the moon is, for the most part, clean. We go back to the contamination notion too. That's a point of peace. And I think also a lot of it goes back to her relationship with her grandfather, which is really Million Miles. And the moon is always the reminder of him.
when she sings about being in the shadow, that is almost implicit with the moon's function. You feel the moon is in the shadow.
I really enjoy this piece that you've done for Million Miles.
Well, Michael and I are delighted to tell you that we put it in the post yesterday to you in Sweden.
Oh, really?
It's on its way to you, Pontus, along with 1 or 2 or 3 other little treats.
Cool.
So keep your eye out for the postman. And
I will.
I'll warn you that it's too big for the letterbox.
That's a real treat. Thank you so much.
Next, we're looking at Now I'm the Fool. For me, seeing this in person, the color becomes hyper vibrant because in the top corners and the top center, the combination of red and orange make the mood in this painting almost volatile. It's almost like having tomatoes boiling. And it's almost like he's seething with anger about being a fool. And it just makes the painting hyper emotional.
Yeah, I believe in the earlier podcast when I discussed this, I shared the impression I had of the Latin feel to it, explosive. But what I failed to mention is this also has the impact of a church choir, of an intense performance. We're talking hot revival here. We're not talking quietly
revival.
singing from the hymn book. We're talking about everybody's Sunday clothes are covered with sweat performance.
That's
So,
why you like hot sauce.
yeah,
It reminds you of hot revival, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'm in love with everything that's hot.
Maybe that's why you have 10 kids.
Okay.
Okay.
This was my chance to express that heat because her performance, and it was so odd. It's a beautiful video in black and white, but it just pushed me that this has to be intense color.
Yeah.
It has to be.
You more than compensated for the black and white video.
Yeah.
Okay. So many things to say about that. Looking at that painting with Michael, he taught me that there's a way of increasing the saturation to really get the color to be more ripe. I didn't know that. So Michael actually showed me the concept of saturation in video editing. And also, just now for the first time, looking at those corners, that red and orange, I think of a volcano erupting, and that's what the lava looks like.
And this is also one of my favorite pieces that you've made because I really enjoy those different takes and looks of her expression, and particularly the mouth. Because I think that's so Angelina. Ever since the beginning, she has had this technique of changing the shape of her mouth to get the exact sound that she needs for that particular song. And she's not aware of it, just does it. It's so natural. It's remarkable.
Michael just poked me in order to remind me to tell you that that picture is also in the post here.
You guys. Okay, that's terrific.
Because we did ask you which are your favorites, and you
Yeah.
told us. And if we're not going to read your answer, then we may as well not have asked you in the first place.
Christmas comes early this year then.
But
Yeah.
it depends on how quick the English post is.
It'll be sometime next year.
Okay. I want to look at our time again.
I hate to see this one go.
Well, one man's loss is another man's gain.
Well, the world needs it.
Again, this one, I'm framing this one and I'm keeping this one for myself. I know you have said all along, it's a party, man, and it definitely is a party, but when you see it up close, you see the faces coming out of the woodwork. You see the half faces. Do you have Pablo Picasso and Salvador Dali as your ancestors? Because that's what it looks like.
Well, you could sort of say that, but it's more the child that's just plain happy with it. That's all expressed. It gives me a chance to be 8 years old again, and I'm doing what I wished I'd done at 8 years old and hadn't. So that's part of it.
But not only that, but you give the viewer the chance to be 8 years old again.
Yeah.
They can fall into this painting, and so many of the faces look like balloons. They're shaped like balloons, and
yeah.
they're floating in the air. I do see Angelina over here, towards the right, but this wonderful face, which almost looks like it's split down the middle. When we saw the Neolithic stone 3 hours ago, I said to you, that stone reminded me of this face.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The color and the way it's split down the middle, just incredible.
I would agree. I would not have been surprised if that stone, before wear and tear took it, had a face like Easter Island on it.
This painting is something to hallucinate over because you can look at it and in Shield, shadows they whisper, but here, shadows they celebrate. And you know, it's the color, it's the detail, and is that a face? Is that a face? Is that a face?
Well, if you say, is that a face, that means it's a face.
Exactly.
I never meant to be subtle anywhere in this.
Okay, Michael, I thought these were great before, and I think they're greater yet, having seen them in person.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, all righty.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's been a treat to host Michael. It's been a treat to look at the paintings. It's been a treat to make this video. It's all a treat. It's just been unbelievable. And for us to finish, I have a couple of things to say, Pontus, which are really, really interesting. We showed Michael this book. I assumed he was familiar with it. He had never seen it before. And just 2 or 3 hours ago, he saw it for the first time, and he was looking through it. And we had another chance, unbelievable, to look at Mary's paintings through Michael's eyes. And Michael is an artist. And there was one of the pictures in here, which is not so well known. This one. And let Michael explain what he saw in this picture.
This painting, all her stuff is amazing. And you're talking about symbolism. Mary is incredibly symbolistic. Almost everything she does is a subtle reference to something else, like a storyline. And this one piece, it's Angelina's hand, and it's her face looking from one side and then to the other. And then there's 2 shots of her feet on the other side as well. But on her hand are rings, each one of a different size. And then each ring is an image. And the first image, and this is always made clear because every time Mary in this book has done a painting of the girl, the princess, it's always indicated by light brown hair and a swash of blue, either blue eyes or something to indicate blue over where her eyes are. So she makes it clear who that is. And Angelina's always almost identified usually with dark hair and a smaller face. So we have 5 pictures. The first one is Angelina caring for the girl. Dark hair, the bigger person, the smaller person, light hair. That's Angelina comforting the girl.
Okay.
The second picture is Angelina being comforted by the girl.
Ah.
The next picture is the girl, blue eyes again, side by side with Angelina. The third one is Angelina is comforting the girl again. And then the fifth one, the girl is comforting Angelina. They take turns taking care of each other in each image.
Amazing.
In a million years, I would never have noticed that.
No.
In a million years. We need an artist who has these type of sensibilities to point that out.
Wow.
I know, it's a total wow.
And when I looked at this book, the book is full of stuff like this. That's why I said Mary is a storyteller and a half.
Wow.
Like her granddaughter.
Just like watching reaction videos of people reacting to I Put a Spell on You, where it never gets old. Looking at art through an artist's eyes never gets old.
We're onto something here.
Something.
It's amazing. Michael was spending so long looking through the book, and I was wondering what he was seeing. And when he told me that 3 hours ago, I did a double take, and I said, right, this is part of the recording tonight.
Absolutely.
And I would like to end this video on a completely different note, but a really important note.
Yeah.
Michael and I have had very open, direct, and honest conversations this whole week. And very early on, we have found out that we are total opposites politically. We have completely different views politically. But for not one single moment has it affected our friendship or the quality of his stay here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Pontus. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And thank you, Michael. It was wonderful. What a ride.
Enjoy your art.
Oi.
Let's see here. Carefully. So excited. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, what is this? This is. Oh my God. My God. Look at these. This is marvelous. Look at that. There's so much here. Michael, this is great. This is like Picasso, isn't it? This is like Christmas. Oh my. Oh my. Look at that. So these are things I've never seen before. Michael, this is a treasure. Really wonderful. That's okay. One final piece here. Oh, this is wonderful. And now, what's all this then, eh? Is it stuck? Just this too. Okay. Let's see if we can move one of these. Oh my diamond. Oh. Here we go. Whoa! Look at that. This is amazing in reality. This is so much details. This is a masterpiece. Oh, worthy of this song. Here we go. Oh, oh. Look at that. Million miles. Another masterpiece. Another masterpiece. I think there's one more. Oh, yep. Here we go. Now I'm the fool. Oh my. Oh my goodness. This is... there's so much life in this one. Oh, I love it. This is too much. This is too much. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael. Whew. I'm I'm out of breath. I'm out of breath.
Thank you, Michael. A new member of our family